What's going on, fight fans? Welcome to the UFC 316 Sharp Action Report. I'm your boy, as always, Clint here at the Die Hard MMA podcast, and we are joined, as always, on pay-per-view weeks by our guy Andrew from Superbook Sports. He's the headlines odds maker, negotiator, risk handler, whatever you want to call the man. He's the head honcho, and he's got all the information for us about what's going on behind the desk for this card. So we're going to talk about notable, sharp action, public action, what sides lines are moving. Sometimes he'll give us a little tidbit on which side of the fights the books might enjoy winning on. So this is an informational show. It's less of a preview, less of a breakdown, and more knowledge for you guys as gamblers to make good bets at UFC 316. Andrew, my guy, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing well. I know the last few cards have kind of been not super desirable, so I'm looking forward to this card. So far the handle's been really good, even though we have a lot of pretty hefty price tags on some of these fights. I think there's like 6 fights over $5. So, those aren't always the most ideal to book, but this is a kind of card as a fan, I'm excited for this card. And I think this might go down as the most handle card of the year so far, if I had to put a guess on it.
Wow. Okay. So that's pretty big. Lots of action flying around on this one. Good to hear. That means we got lots of information to go over, which is just, my favorite for this show. So buckle up, everybody. We are going to have some information coming to you on what is going on across the table. So let's dig right into it. The first fight on the card is Quillian Salkild. He's taking on Yanel Ashmoz. We've got favorites galore on this card, man. You and I talk every single time about these pay-per-view cards. We were actually having fun last time you and I talked because it wasn't such a chalk-heavy card on that last pay-per-view. Well, this time we're back at it, and it's hitting harder than ever, man, with these minus 500, 600, 700 favorites. It's absolutely insane this week. But on this first fight of the night, what are you seeing so far with Quillian Salkild and Yanel Ashmoz?
Yeah, this is actually a fight that has had a significant amount of handle, and usually we're not really talking about the big handle cards at the bottom or fights at the bottom of the card. So we opened this fight on Salkild as a minus 280 favorite. That clearly wasn't priced correctly. The price steamed his direction for the first couple weeks we had this thing up. It got as high as minus $6. So that was kind of the tipping point. And at that point, we did take a large respected bet on Ashmoz at a plus 450. Obviously, you don't know exactly what the customer's doing if he got, in early on Salkild and is just looking to, have a winner and, and guarantee profits, right? But right, it is nice for us to start the card with some respected action on a big dog, because I know, I'm not going to try to hammer the same talking points we have, but in this kind of card specifically, we are going to need a couple of these dogs to come through if we're going to want to have a profitable day at the book. So, it's going to take one of these guys like an Ashmoz to get that job done. We do actually sit in a pretty good position on this fight because we did take a lot of parlay and early action on Salkild. We actually did have a respected bet early on that side, but minus 280 isn't what you're looking at anymore. So, yeah, this has been a fun fight to book. If it's a parlay buster, great for the book. If it's not, we're looking at a small profit there.
Wow. Okay. So sharp action early on Salkild. And as you guys know, that's been the talking point for me basically the entire week, is that these lines are out of control. They are inflated. The books are going to need somebody to come out here and bust these parlays. We'll see whether or not that happens, man. This is one of those cards. One of these landmines has got to hit. Let's keep it rolling. Next fight up, Jekka taking on Ju Sang Yu in a volatile fight here. We've got Ju making his UFC debut at minus 550-ish. Massive favorite here in this spot. I understand Jekka's a little bit of a wild man, but this kid is 8-0 and untested at this level. Is he worthy of minus 500 or higher? What are you seeing over there?
Yeah, this is another interesting one, right? We got a big price tag on Ju Sang Yu. We opened that fight at minus 350. We're currently sitting minus 450. This is probably one of the least bet fights. I know you said you see some 550 out there. The approach that I've kind of taken with a few of these fights, and I'll probably talk about this point a couple times, is I've stayed a little bit lower on some of these really big favorites because, as we've talked about before, we know the tendency of the sharp customers at our book, at least. They come in day of or the day before, and they're going to bet these dogs when they feel like these prices are inflated enough, right? And like, there's no worse feeling if you have a ticket on a big favorite and it's just crashing right before the fight starts, right? So you know that action is going to come in. But for this fight in particular, no one's really been interested on laying that minus 450, minus $5 price range. So I think we're doing the right thing, staying a little bit low and at least seeing if people are out there looking to lay that big price tag. Obviously, we're going to get the parlays. That's what it's going to be.
That's expected.
Exactly. So, but we're trying to see if there's some respected money that's willing to, lay the dump truck on that minus 450 tag.
Makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. Okay.
We
Gotta
also,
love it.
we also might have skipped the Medeiros fight if you did want to talk about it. I
You
don't know
know
if you're
what? I am going all kinds of out of order because I was scrambling last second here to get set up. So I
all good.
apologize. I'm a little bit out of my element here today. Let me get this up here to make sure I'm talking to you guys in the right order because that's what a professional would do. Yeah, first fight of the night. Sorry, we're gonna backtrack here just a little bit. Markel Medeiros and Mark Chonsky. We've got Chonsky as a medium-sized underdog here, plus 150, plus 140. This number is coming down. We're not seeing a lot of line move here on the dogs this week, man. Most of it's favorites and favorites only. This is one of the few live dogs on the card where it seems like the betting public, at least, are lining up to take a nibble here. What are you seeing on this one? Because I feel like this was much, much wider when I first talked about it on Monday.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. That's kind of why I wanted to, bring it up just because this is relatively one of the closest lines that we got for this week, right? So, we opened Medeiros at minus 230. It was a little bit higher to start the week. We did get some big actions over today. The last 24 hours, there has been some really, really large bets on the UFC. We did take a large five-figure bet on Chinosky at plus 160. At least that's a mover for the first fight on the card. Like I said, we were as high as minus 230. Now we're sitting minus 165 on Medeiros. This is a spot where we have a big decision on the favorite, and I don't think that's a bad spot for us to be. A day out from the card because we know what's coming in tomorrow. So yeah, we do need Medeiros pretty big as of right now. I won't say the bet was overly respected, but it was a large bet at a big plus number. So it was something to keep an eye on, and that's kind of just what I wanted to bring up on this fight.
Absolutely. No, when a bet's that big, I mean, you got to respect it at least somewhat, right? Was it Anthony? Was it Anthony Pettis?
I'm not sure. Maybe he has a runner betting for him. I have no idea.
I know you're not allowed to say. I know the man likes to gamble, and that's one of the guys from his show. So I would not be shocked if Anthony Pettis was somewhere holding a Chonsky ticket here this weekend. All right, let's get this thing back on track. So we already talked about Quillian. We already talked about Ju Sang Yu. The next one on the list is Kong Wang and Ariane De Silva. I haven't done my undefeated post weigh-in show just yet, so you guys will have to wait to talk about that one until right after this show. We'll go live and we'll go ahead and wrap that up. But this was maybe the most interesting one on the entire docket regarding the weigh-ins. You've got Kong Wang, who is established as a very large favorite yet again. Lipsky, the only person, I'll go ahead and bury the lead here. The only person on the card who actually missed weight today was Ariane Lipsky De Silva. I'm a Kong Wang truther. She's burnt me a couple of times. I kind of got invested and maybe a little bit too much. And I'm a little scared to go back to the well here, man. But at the same time, I think she wins this fight. What do you got here?
Yeah, man, this is actually one of the more interesting ones to talk about, right? You already mentioned the weight miss. It wasn't a close weight miss either. It was a big weight miss. So, that throws a curveball for us, of course. That
Always does.
I mean, it makes it a lot more interesting when you're booking the fights and somebody misses weight by 6 pounds or whatever it was. So we opened Kong Wang at minus $4. It did get as high as minus 550 for us. As of today, we really have had some significant size wagers on Lipsky. So we're sitting in a spot that this is another one where, as of now, we really do need Kong to come through, as which is surprising to say as a minus $4 favorite.
Right.
We're sitting minus 450 right now. We're not trying to necessarily give that money away and go too low on the price, because if you lower her too much, you're going to get the people who are willing to lay the $4 on this fight. And this is one that we've already seen a ton of liability in the parlays. So as of tomorrow, it might not be as big of a decision on the favorite for us, but this is another one I'm pretty happy where we're sitting, because we have a five-figure decision on a minus $4 or minus 450 favorite. So we'll take that one for now.
That puts you guys in a pretty nice position. If you're needing the minus 550 favorite to come home, that can't feel too bad. All right. Interesting with the weight miss. We'll talk about that, like I said, you guys, in just a little bit, but let's keep rolling here. Chaos Williams taking on Andreas Gustafsson in a very back and forth fight this week. I've heard a lot of takes on this one, ranging from this guy Gustafsson is going to just steamroll Chaos to Chaos is going to nuke this guy in the first round. I mean, this is like a fight where people are extremely polarized. It's one sided or the other, and people have got some serious takes here. But the number, it's wiggled like a loose tooth.
Yeah.
It hasn't moved that much, though, like up and down a little bit, but it's hanging right around that minus 2XX price tag. What are you seeing here for notable action on this fight?
Yeah, this is one where, it obviously didn't have as much shelf life. I forget who Chaos was supposed to fight last week, but I loved him in that spot, and kind of was disappointed.
2 opponents actually that fell out.
Yeah, right. And I thought he was the side. I don't know if it was his second opponent, but it was like a minus 170 price tag, and I thought he was going to take care of business. So to go back at it a week later is pretty quick turnaround. But I think the other guy was supposed to be on last week's card as well. So yeah, this one didn't have as much shelf life. We have been getting bet a little bit on the Gustafsson side today, at least. So we do need Chaos Williams for a small decision. We did open it at minus $2 on Chaos Williams. It only got as high as minus 210. We're currently sitting minus 190. This is actually one of the fights where we did have a pretty significant bet on a total, because this one's sitting at a 1.5 total, and they did bet the over minus 170 early in the week. We're currently sitting minus 190 now. So if you think that it's going to get over that 2.5 mark of the second round, maybe there's some value in that at the 1.5.
Very interesting. Okay, so the notable action on this one is actually the over. Very interesting, especially for the Chaos KO crowd there to sweat that one out. Sergey Spivak and Waldo Cortez Acosta, one of the few playable lines on this card, and again, a little bit of one where I'm seeing a lot of very, very strong takes on either side. Looks like a little bit of money has come in on Sergey Spivak. I believe this was closer to a pick'em at the beginning of the week, and now we're seeing Sergey slowly start to pull away as the favorite here. Anything notable that we need to know on this one?
Yeah, this whole card is surprisingly has a ton of money on it. Like I mentioned, this fight in particular does have a lot of money on it. We did open Spivak at minus 145. I know it was a little bit different out there in the market, as you mentioned, but we opened Spivak at minus 145. It did get as low as minus 125. At that point, we did take a significant size wager on Sergey Spivak. So then it started inching back up in his direction, right? From minus 125. Now we're sitting minus 160. It hasn't got higher than 60, but that's where we're sitting right now. We have a pretty large size wager or a decision on Waldo Cortez Acosta, which as one of the dogs, I know it's not a big dog. I really do feel like he's got a good shot in this fight, and I'm not mad winning on or having a decent sized decision on Waldo here. So um, at the end of the day, I think that we will have a pretty significant sized decision on that Costa side. So that's what we're looking to do at the Superbook right now.
So just to go ahead and kind of separate the language here for the people listening, you guys like the Waldo side, and it's a win for the book if Waldo also comes through as the winning fighter. Is that accurate?
Right. I mean, the person who bet that large wager at the beginning of the year or at the beginning of the week, I wouldn't say is super notable. And it's not, this decision is not driven by sharp action. It's more of the opinions in the back, honestly. So it
Okay.
can easily be switched if I see somebody who's much smart. I'm willing to say that there's a lot of people smarter than I am. So when those tickets come through for large amounts of money, it can change my opinion. But as of now, I'm not mad winning on Waldo in this fight.
There you go. Okay, so on this one, you guys take note. The house likes Waldo. Next up, you've got Azamat Mirzanakov. Okay, yeah, Mirzakhanov, close enough. Taking on Brinson Hiberio. And this one's an interesting fight here, man. You've got an old man versus a young man, a small man versus a large man. And then Azamat just has that death touch knockout power, and he's a minus 600 favorite. What are you seeing here on this one?
Yeah, this is another one. I'll mention it again with these price tags that are so heavy. I did my best to try to see if anybody was willing to lay the big price tags, not including talking about parlays. We opened up Asmat at -$4. It did get as high as -$6. And we have there has been a couple customers that have actually laid this price. So we do have a decent sized decision because they were willing to lay, a large amount of money to win, not too much. But yeah, so this is one where we would like to get a dog here. Like I said, we're going to need one of them. I'm not feeling super confident about this spot. Um, but yeah, this is a $6 price tag. What can you really expect?
Yeah.
We just need one of them, man. And we'll have a winning day. That's what it comes down to for us.
Absolutely. Not a whole lot you can ask for there. All right. Next up, you've got Josh Van, and he's taking on Bruno Silva. The little guy's going at it here, and Josh Van is finally getting the serious respect, man. Minus 700, $7 favorite, Josh Van.
Yeah.
What do you guys see on this one? What are you liking here?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to hear the prices you're seeing because I know we are sitting a little bit lower on these. Hey, so if you're one of the guys that are in Vegas and are willing to, lay some serious money and you're looking for the best price, this is a good reason to add us into your profile of books because we're hanging 550 on Josh Van. You're saving yourself a lot of money if you're comparing $7 to 550. But this is one we've been staying a tad bit lower than the market. We did get a couple biters on Van, nothing significant in this one, nothing too respected in this one. But it's the same thing as the other $5 price tags. We're gonna need one of them. So yeah, but no heavy takers on the big minus money this week so far on Joshua Van.
Okay, interesting. That line has been steaming towards his direction. So interesting to hear that there's been no big takers there for you guys. The big one, man, maybe one of the most volatile fights on the entire card, full of volatile fights. Vicente Luque and Kevin Holland. Holland is a guy who I actually considered playing right around that -$2 ballpark. And I saw this one, dude, this one is flying because earlier in the week, he spiked all the way up to like -285.
Yeah.
And now it's Friday and we're looking closer to -200 again. Like I felt like I missed the boat. And now it's coming back around that it's like, well, if you want to play some Kevin Holland, you've got an opportunity now to play some Kevin Holland. So what are you looking at here, man? What do you think?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because last week we were looking at the least handle card probably of the whole year, and people were more looking forward to this week. So we had a ton of parlays from last week, and a lot of them had Kevin Holland, and I really think that must have been a market wide thing, and that's why that price was kind of going crazy. We opened this the fight at minus 175. It got as high as minus 270 for us here in Vegas. But we did get some respected action on Vincente Luque within the last 24 hours, and the price has come back closer to where we opened it. We're sitting at minus 210 right now. This is a good fight that we've done a good job booking this fight, in my personal opinion, because if Vincente Luque wins, it's going to blow up a ton of parlay money.
Absolutely.
It's going to blow up a ton of parlay money. And if Kevin Holland wins, we're a small winner for the fight. If you just look at it from the perspective of not incorporating the parlays, that doesn't mean we're rooting for him, but we are a small winner if you just graded that fight individually, not tying in the rest of those legs. So I think we've done the best we can booking this fight so far. We'll still, at the end of the day, be rooting for Vincente Luque. So that's what we're looking for.
Okay, Book's rooting for the dog. And just to make sure I heard you correctly, you guys have parlay liability from a week or so ago that it's all anchoring here on Kevin Holland this week.
Yeah, I mean, it was parlays from last week's card, and they were looking forward to this card and already throwing in a bunch of parlays for this week's card last week because they probably weren't super thrilled with the card they gave us last week.
Degenerates getting out ahead of it. You love to see it, my people.
No kidding.
Oh, let's go. All right, guys. Next up, we've got the main card coming to you here. Last couple fights, Patchy Mix and Mario Bautista. Now, before I kick it over to you, my friend, I'm going to talk to the chat here for just a second because I got to shout out Lonnie. Guys, this is not like the interactive show. That's the Undefeated Post-Weigh-In show. But my guy Lonnie made it live for the Sharp Action Report, and he's hanging out at the bar and says, might just have to do a shot of Fireball out of respect. Lonnie, shout out to you, my friend, and cheers. You Fireball shot. We've got about 300 of you sitting in here live across all platforms, guys. Come on over to the YouTube channel, hit that like and subscribe button, share the show out there if you haven't already, please, and make sure you're following Andrew because he does work for the book and he is making sure to donate his time to us and give us a lot of actionable information. That's a huge benefit to us as gamblers. It's good for us to have this relationship. So show him some love. Give him a follow. Make sure he understands that we appreciate what he's doing here. The next fight, like I mentioned, is Patchy Mix and Mario Bautista. My personal favorite fight on the board. It opened up at Pick'em, and I'm kicking myself for being a degenerate and not a full-time gambler. So, of course, I didn't jump instantaneously on the minus 110 opener like a lot of real sharp bettors out there will do. I've got minus 175 in my pocket instead of minus 110. It is what it is. But I definitely am liking the Patchy Mix side here, and we know the line has moved his way. So I'm curious. I'm curious where you guys actually opened up this line and then what the actions look like since then.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times we'll just real quick speak about some of the early markets. Those are very soft limits and soft numbers. So
and a lot of them overseas too. So it's not even
exactly. A lot of them are offshores. So I mean, those lines move very significantly, very quickly. This is one I kept my eye on since they announced it because I've been looking forward to this fight just as a fight fan, not as a bookie. I've been really looking forward to this fight. With my heart, I'm rooting for Patchy Mix to get it done here. But yeah, I'll talk about how we've booked it so far. We actually opened this one up at minus 190 on Patchy Mix. So not close to that minus 110 price tag that people were getting on early on at some of the other books. But the price did come down pretty much right away. We opened up a little bit above market. We did take a decent sized wager from, a winning customer at plus 165. Yeah, plus 165 on Batista. The price got as low as minus 150 for us. It did not get lower than that. Then it kind of bounced back up because there has been a lot of Patchy Mix, backing this week. And, putting my bias aside, I would like to win on Patchy Mix if at the end of the day, if we can. So a small respected bet on Batista early, something to keep our eyes on, but let's go Patchy Mix.
All right, Patchy Mix, baby. But the respected action on the other side at a very good number, I might add. For those of you sharps getting in at -110, this guy got some plus money at least on the other side of the fight. So gotta respect the hustle, gotta respect the good number, regardless of the outcome. Kevin Gastelum takes on Joe Pfeiffer, and my God, like I said, this is not the analysis show, you guys. But if you watch the face-offs, Pfeiffer's freaking huge, man. Like these two legitimately do not belong in the same weight class together. Pfeiffer, a guy that I can't personally trust, but this seems like the type of fight where size matters. So you've got Pfeiffer -375. He's chugging his way, trying to join the -400 and higher club for this card. What do you guys see in action wise?
Yeah, this has actually been a fight with a ton of handle. We opened up Joe Pfeiffer at -$4. I'd say one of the guys in the back, he's like the biggest Joe Pfeiffer stan I know.
Oh,
I don't know
geez.
what it is. I don't know what it is about Joe Pfeiffer, but this guy is a big fan. So we've positioned ourselves, I think, well early in the week. It's the same song and dance with these -$4. At the end of the day, we probably won't need Joe Pfeiffer. It would probably
Mhm.
be good if he loses. But if you look at it from, what I'm looking at right now, we do need Joe Pfeiffer. We did take some pretty large wagers at +325 and +310 on Gastelum, which were good numbers at the time. And good numbers right now. I don't know what you're seeing out there, but I don't think there's any +325 available in the market. Maybe there is. But we're sitting in a good spot to need Pfeiffer in this one. And yeah, there's been some takers on Kelvin Gastelum. So this is a fun one to book.
Okay. Glad you guys are getting some nibbles. I would have very much been interested in Kelvin Gastelum if the fight had stayed at elevation. That's where I was looking to attack that one. But now that we're not dealing with the Mexico elevation or the altitude, I'm off it, man. So favorite or pass in my opinion, but definitely not touching Pfeiffer at a $4 favorite price tag. Co-main event: Juliana Pena, Kayla Harrison. Kayla spiked all the way up to -750 at one point just yesterday. So there's been a little bit of movement here because she's back down to -600. Not a whole lot to write about, but it is at least moving. It's not locked in here at this giant number. Have you guys been getting nibbles on Pena?
Yeah, so these last two fights, the co-main and the main, kind of have been booked very similar. We opened up this fight all the way back in the beginning of May, so this fight has had a ton of shelf life. Whenever we get these big fights announced, I try to do my best to formulate numbers with me and John Murray in the back, and we put our thoughts up and get the prices out early. And we opened this one at -$6, months ago. So it's still relatively right at that same number. It did get a little steamed. We got as high as -$7. But the days that I've been there, I'm trying to see who's willing to lay that price tag on Kayla, because I know, like I've said before, I know these guys are going to bet the dog. It's just a matter of time when they feel like this price is maxed out on inflation. It could even be, we start this card tomorrow, and there's a bunch of favorites getting the wins early, and then that parlay liability is adding up for the book. Who knows? She might be a $10 favorite tomorrow, and then you'll get some big bets on the dog. There hasn't been really any big takers laying that big money line on Kayla Harrison. So, that's something notable for me to keep my eye on, because if, people were super comfortable laying that price tag, they would, because we're offering the best price on it. So,
Mhm.
like I said, we're sitting -550 right now. We have a small decision on this fight, not a ton of handle, a lot of parlays, obviously, but yeah, small decision on Pena in this one. No big takers on that big money line. We did get a pretty significant sized wager on the under 4.5, which is an interesting one in a women's 5-round fight. So
Yeah.
I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but it was definitely something for us to keep an eye on total wise.
Yeah, yeah, man. I actually I agree with violence in that fight. I really think that's an underlook. Absolutely, I think it's mostly Kayla Harrison. If we're watching back the fights on Pena, she's been submitted by kickboxers. I love Rocky Pennington, and she knocked her ass out with a right hand. I mean, like anybody else in the world besides Rocky actually finishes that fight, and Rocky just not known for her power really. So,
Right.
that's the kind of thing that I look at and I'm like, damn, like if Rocky's dropping you like that, think of what the ground and pound would do. If you're getting subbed by Jermaine Duran to me, think about what the grappling is going to do with Kayla. So yeah, I think it's very loaded one-sided, but at the same time, Juliana Pena is the kind of person that can break you with her will
Yeah.
and the pace and the pressure. So it's like, if she does start to turn the tables, if there's an opportunity for her to kind of turn the fight around, she is very capable of finishing anybody. She finished Amanda Nunes. Like, what else do you need? So it's, yeah, violence makes sense to me, man. I think this fight doesn't go the distance.
And that cut for Kayla Harrison, to mention that, I know you'll probably
Oof.
talk about that a little later, but
A little bit.
man,
We'll talk about that a little bit.
it's wild how much different she just looks physically after that cut.
Did you see the
It's really
before and after
insane.
photos?
Dude, it's like a different human. It really
It
is.
really
It's insane to see that kind of stuff. That cannot be good for you.
It's crazy, man. It's wild. All right, guys. Main event. Sugar Sean O'Malley takes on Merab in the rematch. You've got Merab entrenched as a minus 300 favorite after being the underdog when they were initially booked. Oh, music to my ears. And then you've got Sean O'Malley, the comeback, sitting right around plus 250 at this point in time. What are you seeing for notable action here on this one, man?
Yeah, man. Really looking forward to this fight. I want to start with that. I feel like for the UFC, they are praying that Sean O'Malley can get this done to, add a real superstar to their people who are holding the title. But yeah, this is another one we opened up back in early May. We opened up Merab at minus 360. So it's actually been a pretty big mover. From our perspective, this is my insight. This is another one. If you look at the market, we're going to be the lowest in the market until I see a significant size bet on Merab, just because I think this price is going to keep coming down. I'm just anticipating that O'Malley money is going to be there. The first time that they fought, he closed a favorite. There was a ton of money on O'Malley. Obviously, there's going to be public money on O'Malley. I'm not talking about necessarily sharp money, but there is going to be a ton of money on him. And when a customer sees, or a public bettor sees, plus 230, plus 250 on Sean O'Malley, they're like, why not? So we've done our best to not try to entice sharp bettors or people who are just looking at the screen to come, bet that most fair price on O'Malley. We want to see who's willing to lay that big price tag on Merab, because I could be wrong, but I'm anticipating this price is going to keep coming down just due to the volume that will end up being on that O'Malley side. And you know what? I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but so far I have been right. It has come down quite a bit, and I think we're doing it the right way. So we're waiting to see if there is going to be that sharp money laid on that big price tag, and if there is, we'll adjust accordingly. But yeah, we need O'Malley for a small decision right now. Pretty balanced, significant action on both sides, really. We did get a bet on the over, which was interesting, but we also have a lot of bets on the under, so I won't even say that's like super significant, but the biggest bet was on the over in that fight. So
interesting. Okay, so the biggest and potentially most notable bet that they've received on the main event is on the over, not the
I would
under.
say super notable, not like a super sharp, but it was a big bet for a total.
There you go. Big bet for a total. And like we talked about, size sometimes matters, man. At least that's what my wife keeps telling me. All right, guys, that is the Sharp Action Report. Andrew, my guy, we wouldn't be doing anybody justice if I didn't ask you your opinion to close out the show. Which of these live underdogs do you, on a personal level, not a book level, on a personal level, who do you think is the one that blows up all the parlays this week?
Man, that's a great question. A lame answer would be Waldo, because it's like the shortest sized underdog.
You're right. That would be a lame answer.
So I won't do that. But personally, I do like that side. Man, dude, this might sound like a square play, but I really think O'Malley's going to win. I think O'Malley is going to win this fight, and that might not end up being great for us because the public action that will come on O'Malley. So I'm not sure that's going to be the greatest for the book, but I think O'Malley's going to win this week. I do.
Just imagine how many 9 and 10 leg parlays that are live from last week that are anchored on Marab. You guys will do fine if O'Malley comes through.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what that handle looks like tomorrow on that fight. It's going to be this card is going to write so much money. I really think for the year so far, this will be the highest amount of action we've had.
Biggest card of the year from an action standpoint. How does
Yeah.
it compare to other notable events floating around right now?
I mean, I would say that there's not as many superstars on this card. I mean, you got O'Malley. I mean, I guess O'Malley's probably one of the biggest stars you got, so maybe I rescind that. But the action adds up when people are laying these minus 550s, minus 300s. It's gonna add up quickly. So that's part of the reason that the handle is going to be so high, because it costs a lot to play if you want to play on this card, right?
Okay. Makes sense to me. All right, guys, that is the Sharp Action Report. Andrew, my friend, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for providing the information to the people. And if they can support you, or if there's a place they can find you, let them know where that is and what that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. I've tried to be a little bit more active getting content out there on X, especially fight day when, my information is best. That's when you're getting a majority of the handle. So I try to share as much information as I can. So yeah, if you haven't followed me on X yet, feel free. If you have any questions, hit me up in the DMs. Yeah, and if you haven't been to the book yet, it's a great time. We offer really fair prices. Tomorrow we'll do some reduced juice on at least the main event. So yeah, it's a great book to add to your profile of books. Yeah, and thank you so much for having me on. I always enjoy your show a lot. I wish we could, do it more often. It's really a lot of fun to talk about these fights with you, man.
Absolutely, man. It is always good to have you. Always good to hang out with you live on camera and talk about fights for sure. So thank you very much for being here, you guys. I'm going to just give me 10, 15 minutes. I got to actually watch the weigh-ins. I've already watched like the actual weigh-ins. I need to watch the ceremonials, and then we'll be going live for the undefeated post weigh-in show. So sit tight. Give me just a couple of minutes to change my pants, take a pee, grab a drink. I got home, we jumped on, we gave you guys the Sharp Action Report. So quick turnaround, we go again. Thank you so much again for joining me, my friend. We will see you guys soon, and let's roll.